Hey everybody, Steph here with StudioWeb.com. So now I'm recording this nighttime vlog to answer a quick question. Do I think HTML and CSS and JavaScript are more important than PHP and MySQL? Depends on the context. The language that you choose, the language that you're going to program in, and how important it is, it depends on a few factors, which I've discussed in other blogs. I'm going to put it here succinctly, though. I'm going to put it here succinctly. Number one, depends on where you live. Certain regions of the world, even certain regions within a country, will have different priorities. Different languages will be more popular than others. Number one. Number two, depends on the type of development work you want to do. If you want to be a freelancer, I'm a big advocate of PHP, MySQL, because you're going to be doing a lot of WordPress work. When you're doing any web app development, you have to know your HTML, you have to know your CSS, you have to know some JS. And, but what I mean by some JS, that typically means knowing a little bit of jQuery. If you want to get in the startup world, working for startups, chances are you're going to have to do JS, JavaScript and Node, Python, and Django perhaps, although I'm sure there's startups that work with all the other languages, whether it be PHP, Ruby, Java, .NET, whatnot. If you want to go work for large organizations, that's Java, and that is Java, J2EE, or Java Spring. Java Spring is the server-side framework, or ASP.NET, C#. That's for large organizations. But when you're going to work for large organizations, typically you're going to need some sort of higher level of education. HR departments, human resources departments are going to demand that regardless of how good you are as a coder. But of course, there's always exceptions. If you want to do Android development, you got to learn Java. If you want to do iOS development, you got to learn Swift. So the best language really depends on what you want to do, where you live, the type of work you want to do, and what kind of education you have. It's very simple. At this point in time, the larger point I'm trying to make, if it's not already obvious, each language, each framework, each environment has its pros and its cons. A lot of times the pros and the cons are dependent on the type of work that you are doing, and of course all the other factors that I discussed. That's why I don't get into the language wars anymore. Ruby versus Python versus PHP versus Java versus C#. It's irrelevant today because the languages now are very, very powerful regardless. It all depends on what you want to do. That's pretty much the end of this vlog. Ciao.